I'm sure in what you do at Ascend, you see so many hard lessons learned through experience that wouldn't necessarily have had to have been learned that way. So yeah.
Right.
So tell us about a little bit about your college days, if you don't mind, specific, a little bit more specifically, if you don't mind, what was it like for you back in the day? Because again,
Back
mo,
in the
mo,
day.
well, maybe I should refer to myself as back in the day, but because
No, you,
you're not that far out of it. But anyway,
no, I don't apologize for the fact that I'm a 54-year-old woman. I will just put that out there so people don't even have to guess. So I
really,
have a son and a daughter. So I'm privileged to have parented both sexes and see the very stark and vast differences between raising the two. But when I want to back it up a little bit to high school, because
sure,
I think a lot of people of my generation, we did not have very in-depth conversations about human sexuality or sexual activity modeled for us. Because of that, their generation, we did not talk about private things, and so that was a private act, not to be talked about. And so that did not do my generation a lot of helpful good, in that we haven't had that modeled for us, so that now we don't know how to have that conversation, let alone publicly. Like, I have spent 20 years through a pregnancy resource center out of Indiana educating young people. So which is part of what Ascend does, is to educate the educator on professional, I don't
hmm
know, learning theories and styles, and just
hmm
professionalizing the language, being the thought leader and convener on the topic of human sexuality and how it should be taught. So with that being said, in high school, not having very much foundational information from my parents, I dated a young man for 4 years, and I had a very pivotal conversation with him that happened our freshman year of high school. And it went a little something like this. I said, went into high school, and I noticed a lot of, couples were in stairwells, making out and having conversations that I was privy to overhearing about sex. And I just thought, in my own brilliance, that I was not ready for that. So I was just going to break up with my boyfriend. That was how I was going to skirt the issue. So I had a conversation with him one evening, and basically said, I think we should break up because I'm not hooking up with you. And he said, well, wow, okay, thanks. I didn't really ask you to, but okay. But can I ask you, like, you're never, ever, ever going to hook up with someone? And I'm like, well, of course, like when I'm married, I mean, I guess, obviously when I'm married, I will. And he's like, so you're never going to have sex till you're married? And I really hadn't even thought through like that, because again, we had not had these conversations in my home. I knew things, but just, this is a time of my life where I'm forging my own, my own belief system of what I'm going to believe in. And so, I mean, I hadn't really thought through why or how that logically made sense. But again, I'm a freshman in high school. And so I said, well, yes, that is what I'm going to do. I am not going to have sex until I'm married. And it really was more of an argument than it was a belief system of mine at that time. And
hmm
so he said something that changed my life, and probably is the reason I have a great father. But this conversation, freshman year of high school with a young man, changed my opinion of manhood. This is what he said to me. He said, that is so cool. Wow, I really hope my wife is doing that for me. And I
wow.
hadn't thought about his wife. I was me. So this is the conversation. And he said, well, you know what? Maybe I'll try that too. Maybe I'll try to save sex for marriage. And if you're truly trying to save sex for marriage, and I'm trying to save sex for marriage, and there's a lot of pressure out there for people to hook up, why don't we just keep dating and not have sex? And I'm like, wow, what a concept. Is that what people do that? Like, how do you do that? So we dated off and on. We broke up a few times, but for 4 years in high school, I pretty much predominantly dated the same person, knowing that sex was not going to be a pressure in our relationship. So that I made some very healthy choices, honestly, maybe by accident. I don't know. But